Today's youth are tomorrow's leaders, innovators, and change makers. Investing in them isn't just about building their future, it's about shaping a better world for all of us. Youth today face numerous challenges, from unemployment to social barriers. Team has been a beacon of hope, providing these young individuals with the tools they need to overcome these obstacles and thrive.
There is a challenge of youth not finding the right employment based on what they've learned in universities. There is a challenge of youth who undergo virtual learning and lack social skills. So working with youth from team program perspective is us supplementing all these skills so they can survive out there.
It is an initiative by the King's Trust International, KTI. KTI was founded by His Majesty the King of the United Kingdom to tackle the global crisis of youth unemployment. Since 2015, they have been supporting young people worldwide, working with local partners to develop programs that help youth build their own futures.
M&E, monitoring and evaluation of impact measurement, are not very popular back in the days, and KTI had introduced it to us, and they guide and train me personally and also the team on this until we are quite adept in using it.
You can think of team program as a sustainable and long-term bootcamp in the sense where we incorporate a lot of self-development as well as professional skills embedded in the program. And not only that, because it's a sustainable program, we want to keep track of the progress of our young people. Hence why we have an addition of 6 months where we monitor their progress. So it's really a transformative program meant for youth at risk.
Here in Team Program, we create safe space for YP, our young people, to grow without hesitation in order to build their self-confidence and leadership.
We work with drug addicts who are going through rehab, so these are addicts who are in the institutions. We work with young offenders, basically children below 18 years old in Malaysia, and they have criminal records. And we do not forget public youth who are not in education, employment or training.
Kalau belia risiko ni, yang paling mencabar untuk saya ialah untuk memahami apa problem ataupun masalah yang mereka lalui dan macam mana nak tangani masalah tu.
Saya adalah salah seorang recovery person baru dalam tahun ketiga tahun ni. Jadi itu adalah peluang bagi saya untuk memberi satu contoh ataupun role model bagi belia berisiko tinggi ni untuk mendapat peluang pekerjaan, mendekati keluarga sebagai insan yang barulah.
We will develop ourselves as professional by having so many classes and skills, and we got the strength to talk in front of the people.
I really enjoy the team program 9-week journey. It's really affecting my life and improve myself. I've been better communication skills by go through this team program.
We could see that they have actually developed a higher self-esteem and confidence since they started with the 9-week program. They are exposed to various kinds of activities. It's not a stagnant through all areas like presentations, they do CSR activities. So these kind of various activities actually help them in all the areas.
Understanding where they come from, learning about their backgrounds, how resilient they are, and seeing the transformative effect of being part of this program, helping them grow and develop into responsible young individuals has been truly rewarding to watch and really inspiring.
I think working with youth is important because it shapes the future of a generation, the future generation and the current generation. Youth in Malaysia, sometimes not all youth get the privileges of exposure and mentoring as we should within this community, and I think what SAY is doing is vital in this area.
Team program and the young people have been inspiring me over the years I've been in TRCRC is by showing how resilient they are when working with us. Their passion, and then some of them they started off very young.
Bekerjasama dengan program team ni dapat mewujudkan jaringan yang lebih luas lah dalam kita menguruskan program kita di Pusat Pengajian.
team's success would not be possible without the support of our strategic partners. Together, we are shaping a brighter future for these young individuals, filled with hope, innovation, and resilience. The future depends on the opportunities we create today. By empowering youth today, we ensure a better tomorrow for our nation.
That video beautifully captures what empowerment truly means. Not just giving opportunities, but nurturing skills, confidence, and purpose among the younger generation. We saw how programs like TEAM provide platforms for Malaysian youth to express ideas, develop leadership abilities, and engage meaningfully in their communities. From coding workshops to community outreach projects, these initiatives show that empowerment is not just a distant dream, it is happening here and now. Malaysia is a young country with over one-third of its population below the age of 35. This means the future of our nation, it's regarding its innovation, economy, and social harmony, it all depends on how we guide and empower our youth today. In this video, one of the most striking ideas that I have found is that empowerment begins with trust. Trust in young people that they can lead, that they can create solutions for the betterment of everyone, and that they most importantly deserve a voice in shaping Malaysia's future. This is particularly relevant today as our youth navigate a fast changing world filled with challenges such as unemployment, digital transformation, and also mental health pressures. Empowerment gives them the tools to face these challenges with resilience and creativity. As we have seen, the team program shown in this video, it highlights how education can be more than textbooks, homework, or exams, but it is more about developing real-world skills. Skills such as teamwork, leadership, problem solving, and community awareness. So, when young Malaysians participate in such programs, they learn to translate their classroom knowledge into action. This bridges the gap between learning and living, between knowing and doing. It reminds us that empowerment is not about perfection, it's about growth, about initiative, and most importantly, it is about having the courage to try. Another important video that this video raises is leadership. In that video, we saw youth who took initiative to lead projects, whether it is environmental cleanups or innovation contests or social campaigns. I believe that these are not just activities one can join for the fun of it, but they are acts of ownership. So, as a moderator for today, I believe that this is a lesson to all of us. Leadership is not just about age or position, it's about influence, responsibility, and the willingness to take the first step. Programs like TEAM remind us that when youth are given the right command, they don't just follow, they lead. And lastly, this video also highlights how empowerment is tied to civic responsibility. Youth who are empowered are not only thinking about personal success, they are thinking about how to uplift others, their peers, their communities, and their nation. When young people volunteer, pick up on issues, or start small projects, they become active citizens, which to me is the foundation of a strong democracy. This kind of participation builds unity, empathy, and shared purpose. And these qualities are what Malaysia needs in every generation. And speaking of these qualities, it is also related to empowerment, which is the topic of today's forum. Okay. Okay. A very good day to everyone, and welcome to our intellectual discourse forum titled Empowering the Younger Generation for a Better Malaysia. I'm Krishwan, and I'll be your moderator for today's forum. Joining me are two very passionate and insightful panelists, which are Adif and Aiman, who will help us explore what empowerment means for the youth of Malaysia and how it can shape our nation's future. We live in a time when the world is changing faster than ever before, whether it is socially, economically, and or technologically. In this environment, empowering young people is no longer a choice. It is a necessity. So, our discussion today will revolve around the roles of education, leadership, and civil responsibility in ensuring that Malaysia's youth are prepared to face global challenges. So, to start off, I think it would be nice if we took a short moment to share something more personal, which is our own experiences related to empowerment. We've talked about we we're going to talk about ideas, challenges, and also solutions. But real stories can often help us connect on a deeper level with what we are going to discuss today. So let's share something from our journey that shaped how we see youth empowerment. And I'll start off first. So when I was in secondary school, I wasn't the kind of student who always raised his hand in class. I used to doubt my ideas a lot, thinking they weren't good enough. But one day, my English teacher asked me to moderate a small school debate. At first, I said no. I was nervous and I didn't think I could handle speaking in front of crowd. But she said something I never forget. Uh, she said that leadership isn't is not about being the loudest voice. It's about creating space for others to speak. So after listening to her words, I agreed with her and I agreed to join to moderate the school debate. The first time I held the mic that day, my hands were shaking. But as I listened to my friends share their thoughts, I realized I wasn't just speaking, I was facilitating a conversation. That's when I understood what empowerment meant. It wasn't about being perfect or fearless, it's about participating. Since then, I carried that lesson everywhere through university, leadership, and also now in forums like the one we are conducting today. Uh, my confidence, it didn't just grow overnight. It grew through moments of trust, mentorship, and also that's why I believe that empowerment comes from both sides, teachers and mentors who believe in us, and also the youth that believe in themselves. That one opportunity changed my life. That is all I'm going to share for today. And Hadif, what about you? Have you had a personal experience that shaped your understanding of youth empowerment?
Definitely. So this experience is like something new to me because it's happened here in IBG when I was in IBG. It goes back to when I was in when I volunteer to a project in a rural village in Pahang, which is Buludong Pahang. It also my hometown. So we were supposed to have local students with English and basic computer skills. At first, I thought it would be just another volunteering trip, go teach and return home. But on the second day, one of the boys, maybe like 14 years old, asked me something unexpected. He said, Abang, do you think someone like me can be a teacher too? So I took a moment and I realized that the simplest question hit me hard. It made me realize how often young people limit their dreams because no one tells them they can. So instead of just teaching him grammar, basic English, computer, how to spell, I started encouraging him to lead short session for his friends. By the end of the week, he was standing in front of the class helping others. That smile he had when his friends clapped for him, I saw that. That's what I call empowerment. It wasn't about fancy programs or big speeches. It was about one young person realizing, I can do this, I want to do this, and I will do this. That experience taught me that empowerment is something we give, it's something we ignite in ourselves, in the youth. Once it starts, it grows naturally. So I think that's all for me because the experience I had is just fascinating. So, anyway, I am curious right now. Have you ever experienced something similar that made you believe in the power of youth?
Thank you, Hadif and Krishban. By listening both of your story, I think it's quite interesting, and I also have an interesting experience. And it's actually quite recent. During my final year of college, I was part of a student entrepreneurship club. We organized a small charity bazaar to raise funds for flood victims in Kelantan. As you guys know, Kelantan had been
Flooding. They are having some natural disaster.
yes, they're having natural disaster back then, especially in flood. At first, everything went wrong. Uh, I still remember that the supplier cancelled last minute, and the consequences is our fund ran short, and some members wanted to quit. In my deep hard. I almost gave up too. But then one of my team members said, if we don't do it, who will? Just as your study, that this line woke me up. So we regrouped, reached out to local business coordination, and even started an online campaign. The event didn't go perfectly, but we raised enough to help several families rebuild their homes. This experience taught me two things. One, leadership is about persistence, and secondly, the empowerment spread like energy. When one person stays strong, and the others will follow. After that, I realized empowerment isn't about being in charge. It's about giving people hope. Even when things go wrong, that is what drives me to keep learning and contributing wherever I can.
So that's a really interesting story from you. Okay. I think that's all from us.
That is very
Do
interesting.
you have anything to add?
Yes, I think that is all. I don't have anything else.
That's all from
Okay.
us.
So thank you. So thank you, Hadif and Aiman, for sharing your personal experiences.
Okay, you're welcome, Chris.
I'd like to invite Hadif to share his perspective on why empowering the younger generation is such an important topic for Malaysia today.
Okay, thank you, Krishman. I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit sick today, but thank you for inviting me today. And for my insight, I believe youth empowerment is one of the key pillars of for a nation's growth. Malaysia is a young country, both in terms of its age as a nation and its population. More than one third of Malaysians are under the age of 35. This means that our country's direction, innovation, and strength depend largely on how we develop and empower our youth. And when we talk about empowerment, it's not just about giving young people freedom or resources. It's about equipping them with the right values, knowledge, and opportunities to live meaningful life. uh, and empowered young generation is one that can think critically, solve problems, and contribute to society with confidence. So, if we look at the examples in our country, youth movement have always been central to change, from community service programs to student-led environmental projects. Young Malaysians are showing initiative and patience, but at the same time, there are challenges such as lack of guidance, limited exposure to leadership. So the opportunities and sometimes a feeling of being unheard. And that's why we need to continuously efforts from families, schools, and communities to provide platforms for the youth to voice their ideas and lead real projects. Empowerment must begin early through education and mentorship so that every young person feels capable of making a difference.
So that's a very strong point, Hadif. You've highlighted how empowerment isn't just about opportunity, but also about confidence and support. Let's explore one of the factors you mentioned, education. Iman, how do you think education how do you think the education system in Malaysia can play a greater role in empowering young people?
Okay, thank you, Chris. I completely agree with what Hadith said. Education is indeed the foundation of youth empowerment. It's not just about academic success, it's about personal growth, moral development, and preparing for real world challenge. Our schools and universities are the starting point where young Malaysians discover their identity, their abilities, and their sense of purpose. But to truly empower youth, education must go beyond rote learning. We need to focus on critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving. For example, project-based learning and community engagement allows students to connect theory with practice. When students are encouraged to explore social issues like poverty, environmental care, or gender equality, they begin to understand their role in society. Another important aspect is digital literacy. In today's world, being able to use technology responsibly is part of empowerment. Many young Malaysians have access to the internet, but not all know how to filter reliable information or use digital tools to create solutions. So, teaching students to use technology ethically and productively should be a national priority. Ultimately, the purpose of education should be to produce youth who are knowledgeable, compassionate, and confident, not just academically excellent. Empowered students become empowered citizens. That's all.
That's okay. Uh, okay. That is a very insightful point, Ayman. And you are right. True empowerment starts with education that teaches values and responsibility, not just facts. So let's move on to another important area, which is leadership. Hadif, in your opinion, what kind of leadership qualities should we nurture among young Malaysians to ensure that they can play a positive role in shaping the nation's future?
Okay, so leadership. Leadership. When we talk about leadership, for me, leadership is not about authority. It's about the influence and service. A great leader inspires others to act, not through power, but through example. How we act, how do you act, how people see you. You need to be the example. When we empower youth, we should also teach them that leadership begins with self-discipline, empathy, and responsibility. It's not about the titles, it's about the contribution. For instance, a student who volunteers to help a classmate or organize a school event is already demonstrating leadership. And one of Malaysia's strengths is its diversity. Young leaders must learn to embrace differences. True leaders unite people, listen to various perspectives, and make it a fair decision. Civic responsibility is also a part of leadership. When youth understand how their action impacts society, whether it's through community work or even an environmental protection or national unity, they begin to purpose. I believe that leadership programs, youth parliament, and even mentorship from experienced professionals are the key in nurturing such qualities. When young people are trusted with responsibility, they grow into confident and ethical adults.
Uh, okay, very well said, Hadif. Reminded us that leadership is not just about position, but also about action and integrity. So, with that, Aiman, so let us continue on with what Hadif said. What are some barriers that prevent young people from taking up leadership roles or being more actively involved in national development?
That's a very good question, Chris. I think there are a few major barriers that many young people face. First, there's a lack of confidence. Many youth feel that their opinions do not matter or that they are too young to contribute. This mindset often prevents them from taking initiative. We need to remind them that leadership is not about age, it is about attitude. Second, limited exposure is another issue. Some young people do not have access to leadership training, workshops, or mentors who can guide them. When schools or university do not provide opportunities for real-world learning, students miss out on developing essential soft skills like communication and teamwork. Third, there's the challenge of social pressure and fear of failure. Our culture sometimes focuses too much on perfection. As a result, you become afraid to try new things because they fear being judged or criticized. But empowerment means creating a safe environment where failure is seen as a part of learning. Finally, technology and social media, while powerful, can also be distracting. Many youth compare themselves to others online and lost focus on their own growth. That's why guidance is crucial from parents, teachers, and mentors to help you use technology for positive purpose. Overcoming these challenges requires collaboration. The government, schools, and society must work together to give youth the confidence, support, and
Opportunity.
opportunity to shine. I think that's all, Krish. I'm sorry for the
Mispronounce.
mispronunciation.
That is fine, Eman. What matters is your observation. It is
Uh,
very honest and it is very important.
Thank you,
The
Krish.
challenges that you mentioned are real, but they can be turned into opportunities with the right mindset and also the right support systems. Now that we discussed the importance, the role of education, leadership, and the barriers faced, um, I'd like to get some reflection from the both of you. So, Hadif, what is your message to the young people of Malaysia who are listening to us today?
So my message to every young Malaysian is that never underestimate your power to make a difference. You don't need to wait until you are older or more experienced. Every action, no matter how small, can create an impact. Get involved, join community projects, volunteer, or simply help those around you. The future of Malaysia depends on proactive and compassionate youth. If we all take responsibility for our country's progress, Malaysia will continue to grow stronger and more united. Empowerment begins the moment you believe that your voice matters. So believe in yourself and use your talent to build the Malaysia you dream of.
And
So, oh, you wanna add something? Okay.
I'm just joking, Adif. Okay, I'm just kidding. And I would like to add that empowerment also means awareness. Be aware of what's happening in your community, in your school, and in your country. Stay informed, stay involved, and never stop learning. Don't let fear stop you from trying something new. Mistakes are not failure, they are steps toward improvement. Empowerment isn't about perfection, it is about progress. When the younger generation stand up with courage and compassion, Malaysia's future will be bright. Let's be the generation that inspires hope and change. I think that's all from us, Chris.
Okay, those are some beautiful messages from the both of you, and I couldn't agree more. Um, Empowering the younger generations is about more than just government policies or programs. It's more to about trust, mentorship, and also continuous learning. When young Malaysians are feeling empowered, they don't just change their own lives; they change the lives of everyone around them. Thank you again to Adif and Aiman for your personal reflection. So, before we conclude today's session, I'd like to take a moment to share some reflections of my own, if you don't mind. By listening to the both of you, If and Aiman, I'm reminded that youth empowerment isn't just a topic for discussion. It's something we must live every day. When I think about Malaysia's future, wih, apa pula? Dah, jangan macam ni.
Asal Chris? Baik dia suara dia. Tak apa. Baca balik dari awal lah Chris. Baca lain.
Okay.
Segment 8 tu. Okay.
Okay, start. Boleh?
Okay, baca balik lah segment 8 tu.
So, okay. So, before we conclude today's session, I'd like to take a moment to share some reflections of my own. Listening to both of you, Hadif and Ayman, I'm reminded that youth empowerment it's it isn't just a topic for discussion. It's something that we must live every day. When I think about Malaysia's future, I see potential in our young people, whether it's in technology, the arts, entrepreneurship, or social work. Our youth are already showing to underestimate ourselves, to believe that change someone else's job. So, with that, empowerment begins when we take ownership, not just of our success, but also of our community's growth. I have met young Malaysians who have started recycling projects in their neighborhoods, tutored students from low income families, and even developed small startups to help local farmers. These are real examples of empowerment in action. So, as we continue our forum today, I'd like us to dig deeper into how we, as individuals, can turn ideas into a real impact. Let's now open the floor to a more interactive discussion. With me, I have some questions from our audience beforehand, and feel free, and Adif and Ayman, feel free to answer these questions. So the first question I have gotten is, what advice would you give to young Malaysians who feel like their voices don't matter, especially in decision making?
Oh, okay. So may I answer that question? So
Yes.
the question is a very meaningful one, I would say. And yeah, I'd say that your voice always matters. Even if it doesn't feel like it first, change often starts quietly, start small. Maybe in your school, club, or community group, when people see your consistency and your willingness to serve, they begin to listen.
Oh, yes, I agree, Hadif. Many young people think they need a title or position to be heard, but the real thing is real influence come from action. If you're passionate about something, use social media or community platform to share ideas respectfully and consistently. Over time, your voice builds credibility.
That is very beautifully said from the both of you. I'd also like to add that being heard isn't just about speaking, it's also about listening to others. The more we listen to others and engage constructively with them, the stronger our collective voice becomes. And so we'll move on to the second question is that how can rural youth be empowered when they have less access to resources compared to urban youth?
Okay, so I think I'll answer this question. There is an excellent point. Environment shouldn't be limited by geography. I think it starts with connectivity. It is both digital and social. Schools and NGOs can collaborate to bring programs to rural areas, not just online, but physically.
Yes, yes. And also mentorship. Mentorship mentorship is the key. Rural youth often have strong community, which is the community with values. They just need exposure and guidance. If universities and youth organizations could create, adopt a village programs where students mentor others, it would make a big difference. So I think that's all.
I completely agree with your answer, Hadif and Ayman. So for me, empowerment isn't just about giving opportunities. It's about sharing them with with others. Urban youth can play a big role in bridging the gap between volunteering and creating networks of support. So, the third question I have gotten is that how do we start something new? For example, like a project. So, would anyone like
Pardon,
to answer this? Adib?
Krishman, what's the question?
Uh, Let me repeat that. The question is, how do we deal with failure when trying to lead or start something new?
Oh, okay. That's a question every leader asks at some point. Failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is a part of the process. It's part of the process to be success. So every mistake give you insight for your next step.
Exactly, Adif. Think of failure as a feedback. It tells you what doesn't work so you can find what does. If you look at every get leader or innovator, they have all failed at some point. What makes them different is that they don't stop there. I think that's it.
Well said. Okay. Well said, Hadif and Ayman. So I'd also like to add to this, uh, which is that resilience is one of the strongest forms of empowerment. Uh, if we teach our young people on how to recover from setbacks, we're teaching them on how to lead for life. So let's now look at some real examples of youth empowerment here in Malaysia and beyond. So, Hadif, are there
So
any examples that you'd like to share?
so I have collected a couple of examples. So the one example I admire is the MyCops initiative. MyCops initiative, where Malaysian youth are trained and sent to volunteer in developing countries. It teaches leadership, teamwork, and empathy. These young Malaysians return home with a new sense of global citizenship.
Okay, so another great story is from a group of university students who started a food waste reduction that is projected in Penang. They collected unsold food from restaurants and distribute it to shelters. It is simple but powerful. It is also a reminder that you don't need big funding to create a big impact. How about you, Chris?
Yes, that is. Yes, that is well said. And yeah, I have also seen some amazing digital projects like youth creating apps to connect volunteers with non-government organizations, NGOs. It shows us that technology gives us tools, but empowerment is what gives us the reason to
Ah,
Are you done, Chris?
Yes, I'm done. Is there anything you would like to add on?
so yes. And the common thread in all these examples is that someone took the first step. Empowerment doesn't wait for permission, it starts with initiative.
Exactly. We cannot underestimate the influence of one small project. Each positive action becomes a ripple that inspires others.
Okay. So we before we continue further, we've heard inspiring examples of what young Malaysians are already doing. But now let's talk about what more can be done. I'd like us to discuss practical and innovative ideas that could take youth empowerment in Malaysia to the next level. Hadif, maybe you can start by telling us what kind of initiatives do you think could make a real difference if implemented nationally or even within schools?
Okay, thank you, Krish. I think one powerful idea would be to introduce something called as youth empowerment lab, whether it is in schools and universities. It could function like a club where students collaborate on projects that solve real community problems, whether it is a social, environmental, or even technological. These labs could also connect students with mentors from industries and non-government organizations and local councils. It's not just about discussing ideas, but actually implementing them into the youth.
That's a very fantastic idea, Hadif. To add on, I think Malaysia should have more into school or into college innovation challenges. Not just in academic, but challenges that focus on social impact. For example, a youth, a youth for sustainability challenge, where students propose creative solutions to local issues like waste management or education inequality. This kind of initiative would be build teamwork, confidence, and problem solving. Exactly what we mean by empowerment in action.
Um, and I'd like to say that I really like both of those ideas. And from my point of view as a moderator or simply as a fellow Malaysian, I'd say another powerful initiative would be the youth voice circles. Uh, these would be small monthly gatherings in every school or district where young people can share their views on local or national issues. And after that, representatives could then bring those ideas to local councils or to youth committees, and it is a way to make sure the youth are heard consistently, not just during elections or campaigns only.
Hmm. Think that's brilliant, Krish. It makes and creates empowerment feel accessible to every young person, even those who might not hold formal positions like prime minister or something like that. Isn't that right?
Yes, and it is encourage civic participation. Something we talked about earlier. When young people realize their voices can influence decision, they start to see themselves as part of the national conversation.
Exactly. Empowerment thrives when there's space for collaboration, whether it's a youth lab, innovation challenge, or voice circle. What matters is that young people are included and trusted. Um, Now, let us also touch on digital innovation. Uh, Technology is now it's a very big part of every youth's life. And so, how can it be used for empowerment rather than as a distraction? Adif?
That's a crucial point. Most of people overlook this point because I believe we can establish digital mentorship platforms where experienced professionals volunteer online to guide youth in specific areas, whether it's entrepreneurship, coding, art, public speaking, you name it. It removes the barrier of location. Even a student from a small town like Raut Pahang can access valuable mentorship. Isn't that right, Farish?
Yes, it is. And perhaps combine that with digital volunteering apps where you can sign up to volunteer for causes that need manpower, whether physically or virtually. It's empowerment through accessibility and choice.
That is some great ideas. And what I can take away from this is that empowerment is not just a single event. It's a system that we build through ideas, collaboration, and also innovation. So, if every community took just one of these ideas and put it into action, imagine how much progress we'd make in just a few years.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. Empowerment is like a seed. Once you plant it in the right environment, it grows on its own.
Yes. And that, what we call environment, is created when we trust our youth, guide them wisely, and we should celebrate their potential.
I couldn't agree with you more, Ayman. Thank you, Hadif and Ayman, for those inspiring and practical insights. So now let's move on to our final two segments where we'll share our closing thoughts and summarize what today's forum truly meant for Malaysia's future. Uh,
Um,
before, before we head into our closing thoughts, I'd like to share my personal opinion on this topic. So, for me, empowering the younger generation is about trust. Adults need to trust the youth, and the youth need to trust themselves. For too often, we wait for the approval of someone before acting, but in reality, no one becomes ready in just a single day. Readiness comes from experience. I believe that the future of Malaysia will be built not just by brilliant minds, but also by caring hearts. When our young people are empathetic, when they help each other and other people, and when they take pride in their country, that's when the true progress starts. We must also remember that empowerment isn't just a straight road. It's more to a lifelong process. There will be obstacles, criticism, and doubt. But if we stay committed to learning, serving, and leading with integrity, nothing can stop us from shaping a better Malaysia. And as we near the end of our forum, let us take a moment to summarize what we have learned. Now, Adif, would you like
So,
to start?
I would like to say that empowerment begins with values and guidance. When we educate and mentor the youth, we're building the foundation of a strong nation. Isn't that right?
Yes, Hadif. Empowerment grows through action and awareness. The more we act with compassion and purpose, the more confident we become.
Yes, and the more confident we become, the more empowered we feel. And I agree that. And I'd like to add that empowerment also flourishes with unity. Uh, when we support each other and celebrate our diversity, Malaysia becomes stronger than ever. So, to all young Malaysians listening to our forum today, believe in yourself